That's about it. Lived in Arlington for 20 some.
Okay, thank you. Greg Hoffman?
Good morning. This is my second year back, and been in Arlington for a while and also work in real estate development.
Your mic.
Barnes, can you turn your microphone on and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Barnes Lawson. This is my third year. I've had a real estate practice, law practice here in Arlington, and it's a pleasure to serve, and I appreciate the confidence that the county has in myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ken Matskin is going to join us a little later in the call. And so in an effort to move this along, I know the Honorable Paul Ferguson is on the call. If you want to go ahead and proceed with the swearing in of everybody, and then I don't know how we'll do Ken.
Thank you, Chairman Dooley. I am working at home, so this is amazing technology that we're able to do this remotely. Thanks to each of you for continuing to serve. It's an important role for the county. I'd like to ask each of you to raise your right hands. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that you will uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge all the duties incumbent upon you as members of the Arlington Board of Equalization for a term commencing April 21st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020, according to the best of your abilities? You would each answer yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then some of you have, I think maybe all of you have gotten the oath form from Rosa and signed it and sent it back to her. And so I will gather all of those forms, sign them myself, and then send them back to Rosa so that there's a copy available for you if you would like them. And then they'll be on file, of course, with the circuit court. So thank you once again for continuing to serve. And as much as I know your meeting is going to be interesting, Chairman Dooley, I think I'll sign off if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Rosa. Thank you, Rosa, for doing a good job of organizing.
You're welcome, Paul.
Okay, and just for the records, I know we have some county folks on here. Mr. Millman, if you want to just introduce yourself and then introduce who you've got with you today.
Sure, absolutely. I'm Richard Millman. I'm the director of the Real Estate Assessment Office. I've been the director since 2012 and honored to serve the county and to do the best we can for the property owners. Thank you. Deidre Kelly, maybe if you could go ahead and talk.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Deidre Kelly. I am a appraiser supervisor, and I also manage the record section. And for this meeting, I'm also coordinating some of the efforts between the county staff. I serve as a liaison between the county, county attorney's office, the county manager's office, and Rosa to coordinate this meeting. Thank you.
I believe Irving Bailey is there.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Irvin Bailey. I am the commercial appraiser supervisor for Arlington County, and I have a staff of 3 appraisers. We assess the commercial properties, which include the hotels, general commercial apartments, and office buildings located in Arlington County.
Thank you, Irvin. Derek Dubay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Derek Dubay. I'm the residential single-family supervisor, and we have a team of 7 appraisers that are out there appraising, and I'll be assisting with the single-family cases this year. Thank you.
I believe Chester Carr, our IT analyst or specialist, is also joining us.
Okay.
Chester?
Hi, this is Chester. I'll be offering any IT assistance through this process that I can. I have about 25 years in local government, and I'll do my best. Thank you.
And I too want to thank Rosa and Deidre for putting this all together. This technology, we'll work through it together. I thank everybody. Thank you for serving.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, the next order of business is the election of the officers for 2020. We need to obviously do president and secretary.
I will nominate Mary as the chairman.
All right, thank you. Do I have a second?
Mary Dooley.
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, moving on to the secretary. Just as in fair turn, I will go ahead and nominate Jose Penaranda as the secretary again. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, it carries. Thank you again, Jose, for doing this. I believe this might be about your 12th year doing it as well. Okay, moving along to the rules and procedures. I think I sent out everybody a link this morning to the rules from last year. Hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at it. Are there any changes that anybody wants to make to the rules so we can adopt them for this year? Yes, no?
I don't think so. I don't have any. Let's see how it goes this year, based on this virtual thing.
Okay, the only thing I had, and Rosa and Deidre, you may be able to chime in on that. You had mentioned the other day when we talked on number 10, third-party citizen remarks, that those are being advertised to be in the day before in writing by 4 p.m., I believe. Deidre, can you unmute?
Yes, I'm sorry, public comment. We're accepting that information online. It has to be submitted by 4 p.m. prior to the next meeting. So there is a link currently online for feedback to receive that information. Rosa will collect that and provide it to the board by 9 a.m. the day of the meeting.
Okay, well, two things. One, I think we need to change it on the rules.
Okay.
If we can go ahead and do that under number 10. Is there any way, I mean, to give it to us at 9 o'clock when we're walking in the door, is there any way to get it before then so we can maybe review it the night before?
She can send it to you once she receives them after 4. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Prior to the meeting. I'm sorry about that. Also, I noticed that the rules also mention recording. Well, now that they're actually being videoed and this video link, so there may be need to revise that as well. I think there's a section about audio recording.
There is, number 11.
Okay.
So Rosa, maybe we can change that to incorporate basically the statement that I apparently have to read at the beginning of every meeting about that it could be viewed and that then it would be recorded. Okay. I mean, during this time, because I don't think that's applicable once we hopefully revert back to our old ways.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or concerns on the rules and procedures for hearings? No? Okay. You guys are all very easy this morning. Okay, we will move on to the overview of the BOE cases for 2020. Mr. Rick Millman is going to start, and then we'll hear from some of the other folks. So, Mr. Millman.
Okay, thank you very much. The effective date of the 2020 assessments is January 1st of 2020. We have the task of appraising roughly 65,000 parcels in Arlington County, and the BOE, I believe there's applications around 275 cases that are currently that will be coming to the Board of Equalization. When we developed the 2020 assessments, we were looking at financial data and house sales and all the market information from 2019 and income data from commercial properties in 2018 and what we received in 2019. We all understand the events that have taken place since January 1st of 2020, the COVID, the stuff that's going on, the unrest in our country at this point. And what'll happen is those events will be factored in or considered and analyzed for the 2021 assessments. I hope the property owners and everybody on the board recognizes that we developed developed our assessments for 2020 based on information that was prior to January 1st. And that's all that should be considered in the assessment. And appraising those 65,000 parcels, and with such a few amount of properties that are actually being appealed, it's only fair to say that we only consider events that took place prior to the effective date. And that information provided by property owners or their tax scripts should be information that took place up to that point and not things that took place in February, March, April, May. We have a lot of sympathy, and we understand that everybody's have issues and troubles, but we've appraised everybody, we believe, fairly and equitably, and we do our best to serve the property owners of Arlington. Deidre or Irving, if you want to chime in on anything about that.
I'll let Irving go first.
Okay.
Okay. As Rick has stated, our assessments are prepared utilizing the data that we had on hand prior to January 1. So that would be financial information up until 2018. As usual, with the review cases that we receive, we do request the 2019 financial information and look at that, which is provided when we review the assessments for 2020. We haven't really had a lot of agents mention COVID-19. I think all of the agents are aware of our cutoff period based off their experience working with us in the county. But a few agents that have included the information, I mean, we talked to them about the documents that they provided about it and informed them that, you know, that information that they're releasing is after the January 1 date. Some of the articles that we received are actually postmarked or dated March and April. So that's definitely information that we can't use. One thing we're trying to do this year that is different from past years is we'll request income and expense information later in the year for property owners' financial information from January 2020 until about August of 2020 to utilize that information along with the other information that we gather to value the properties for 2021. Because otherwise we will be relying on the 2019 financial statements submitted to us this year, which again doesn't have any information about COVID-19 and the impact it has had on the commercial market. So far, I think we are doing a good job on completing the cases that we received. And hopefully this year we'll have more cases available in a timely manner for the board than we did last year.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Kelly?
I believe it's the phone number that just came in. If they could just mute their mic. So there were, as far as residential cases, there were approximately 42 residential cases that were appealed this year. I believe 6 of those were condominiums. We actually did not hear any complaints or any concerns regarding COVID-19 for our appeals. Most concerns were regarding renovations and inequities between other properties that have not been renovated. The condo team is actually conducting a renovation study as well as a land study for 2020 and 2021. They plan to implement for the 2021 assessment for land. The renovation study will take a number of years, and we have successfully reviewed one area in Arlington. So the plan is to have about a 3-year plan to cover the entire county. I don't actually have any report for condos. Derek, did you want to chime in for residential, for single family? Your mic.
How many cases were we at with single family? It really wasn't a lot this year. I think it was around 30, I want to say, that were actually going to go before the board.
There's 19 that Looks like there are 26 cases that are going to the board for commercial, for residential so far, and that includes 19 residential and 7 condo.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of the cases were built around just overall increases in certain areas. We had a lot of land increases across the county this year. So a lot of people had questions about that. Amazon coming in was a big one. We had a lot of questions about that. But most of the cases are still around specific, questions or descriptive factors with people's properties. So we're able to discuss with them the specifics on their property and give information regarding that. And I think you'll see most of the cases are surrounding that. So.
Rick, unmute your phone, microphone.
As you see, we've got about 65,000 parcels and 273 current appeals. It's a very small number. We need to be very respectful and take a close look and make sure that everything is done fairly and equitably for these property owners that do have concerns and have appealed. But 30 residential cases and 6 condominiums, and out of 3,500 commercial properties, that leaves about 240 appeals. So I do ask the board to consider, to strictly consider events before January 1st and the effective date of the assessment. So again, I thank you.
I feel like we'll be saying that a lot during these hearings, but
it's a good
just
one over every case, every hearing. Yeah.
Right. And just to kind of put in perspective, you said there's 275 cases. What was the previous years, just to kind of give the board members an idea of volume?
Deidre, Rosa, you can chime in with it. You have those numbers. I think it's a little bit higher this year than previous, but we typically have about 30 hearing dates in a year between now and the end of October. But Deidre, do you have that number last year's?
So there's 273 BOE appeals this year. Last year was 287.
Okay.
2018 was 232 and 2017 was 257.
Okay. So it's a reasonable number that we will obviously get through. I think initially they may go a little slower just from the dynamics of, the IT, but I think that, we'll get a pattern and move along pretty quickly. So any questions from board members for any of the department members?
Typically, we start with residential cases first.
Right.
And handle those, right.
Well, my hope is that we are through this and maybe doing a social distancing in-person meeting for the commercial, because I think it's going to be very difficult to be doing the commercial on this platform. So, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
We get into July and August, maybe. Hopefully we could do that.
I hope so. Okay, other questions from board members? No?
Yeah. Are we using the same, or the appraisers were using the same guidelines? I remember we got a packet last year with kind of the different property types and guidelines and cap rates and things like that. Is that basically carrying over from 19?
We develop new guidelines every year. Irving Bailey will be sharing those with the board members and anybody in the public. We have a confidential portion and a non-confidential. He'll be sharing the non-confidential portions with anybody that requests it.
Okay.
But the board will be getting those.
Okay. Thanks.
Many of the agents have already received these guidelines from us. We have created more of a booklet this year than we have in the past. So everything is compiled into one booklet. I think it's 21 pages. Rosa has been able to email those documents out to agents when they requested them. So we'll make sure you all get a copy. And the goal for next year is to have it available online when assessments go out. So they don't have to request it from us. They'll be able to just go onto the real estate assessment page and see it or download it on their own.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? No? Okay, before we move on, I think Ken is vacuuming there. I'm not sure what's going on there. Before we move on to number 6 on our agenda, I just want to back up. I realized that we didn't do 2 things. The dates moving forward, we are going to meet on Wednesdays, and the dates for June, which everybody has agreed to, that will be June 16th and 17th, the 23rd, 24th, and the 30th, which my understanding, and Ms. Kelly can confirm, that we're going to be just doing residential cases. That's probably going to clear out the bulk of the residential cases, I would think. And then, we'll again move on to the commercial cases once we, get an idea of how we're going to handle those.
That is the case. Sorry,
ahead.
I just wanted to just note that the reason why we are sticking to those dates is there's only one broadcast meeting or one stream meeting in the county at a time. So these were the agreed upon dates. These were the approved dates from the county manager's office. And yes, we will focus on residential cases first. I believe we had 26, but we did have 1 to withdraw. So we have 25. So hopefully those will fill the calendar for June. Sorry
Okay.
to interrupt.
All right, thank you. Okay, and the second thing, just back on the agenda, is I need to do a motion to accept the 2020 rules with the 2 changes for the recording and the third-party comments. So do I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion.
Is that Mary Hogan? And then second?
Second,
I'll
Barnes.
second that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so those are accepted. With no count. Okay, moving on to number 6 on the agenda, other business. I don't know who on the staff is going to address this, the COVID-19 and the 2020. Rick, you had already kind of talked about that a little bit, but
I did talk about it, and we've had concerns. We did have some property owners, not a lot, as staff has said, but we've had some people mention, problems and issues and things that how the values have declined over the last couple of months, and also inability or problems with paying their taxes in June. I would ask any property owners or anybody that's having those concerns as far as payments to reach out to the treasurer's office, and they'll work with you to the best of their abilities, what they can do statutorily. We did have some questions back in the last couple of months. Can we extend dates for applications to the Board of Equalization? Typically, appeals must be filed to us by April 15th for the Board of Equalization. And some property owners, just because of COVID, they were not able to do this on a timely manner. The Board of Equalization can accept applications up through the end of June, but none after July 1st. It is the board's own discretion and reasoning whether they are approval or disapproval, whether they accept those cases or not. So you will be some letters and applications, people explaining why they want to be heard, even though they missed the April 15th. Just a few, it's not many. But we've been tried to be very respectful of the situation and work with the property owners. If we've had a factual error in the assessment where we can that way, we have done that. We're constantly working through the appeals, trying to make sure that we've gone through the data and the analysis and having hearings. Irving's been having virtual meetings, Teams meetings with property owners and tax agents, trying to process the cases as quickly as possible. If staff wants to jump in, be glad to share this time. Irving, Deidre?
Well, I believe Irvin already mentioned that there's a third mailing for the income and expense to gather information, but I just let him just mention that again.
Yes, I did mention that we will do a third mailing this year to try to get ahead of having more cases appealed next year because of COVID-19. The purpose of the third mailing is to assess how properties were affected this year by COVID-19 in preparation for the 2021 assessment. We will utilize the publications that we've utilized in the past, but we believe that getting this third set of INE information from property owners will help us out more than the publications will, because again, it's a localized look at our market, especially properties such as hotels. We are aware that a few hotels, I think about 12 hotels, that actually closed. So getting income and expense information from them this year, for this year's numbers, fiscal year 2020, ahead of the request next year, will help us out with 2021 assessments. We actually have also had conversations with other jurisdictions this year about how they've seen assessments increase or not based off of COVID-19. We spoke to Loudoun County, Fairfax County, and DC. DC is a little bit different from the Northern Virginia jurisdictions because they have already issued 2021 assessments. As far as Fairfax County, Loudoun County, they too will be sending out an additional income and expense notices this year to property owners trying to get information about fiscal year 2020 in preparation for 2021. And they too will also be sticking to the January 1 cutoff date for any 2020 assessments and 2020 appeals. So hopefully we'll get a good response from owners. I mean, again, this is to help us value their properties accurately so it benefits them and benefits us. It's a win-win situation. We do understand, however, that it can be time consuming because we still will need a full year's I&E information coming next January. So we hope that although it may be burdensome to some, they see the benefit of it and they are able to help us out. That's all.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to jump in and say something there, just to piggyback what both Mr. Bailey and Mr. Millman said, you know, because I've had some conversation with a couple of the board members about the effect of the COVID-19 on income and expenses. And obviously, as you know, this is going to really affect next year, certainly more than it's going to affect this year. But that being said, you're going to have a lot of folks who aren't going to be able to, you know, pay their taxes. And Mr. Millman did bring up the issue of the, it's called TAP, Taxpayer Assistance Program. I know historically the board has asked residential folks that are having issues with paying their taxes that you can apply to either have the taxes forgiven if you meet certain requirements by the county, and also if not forgiven, that they could be put to the end of the you know, life of the property, either if the person passes away or if they sell the property to do that. There's also assistance through this TAP program that our treasurer, Carla De La Pava, has had for several years. It's with John Marshall Bank, that historically, if an appellant can't pay their taxes, there's a 10% fee right up front, and then it goes into default, and there's all kinds of issues with that. So what they've done with John Marshall Bank is John Marshall Bank has come through and said that they would charge the 10% fee, and then the county would go ahead and get those funds. So that way, that works out. It's a win-win for everybody because the county needs those funds now to be able to pay for other things down the road. So from a standpoint of, I know folks want to feel bad. This is a terrible, terrible situation that's going on out there, and it's certainly affecting income and expenses for lots of different businesses. But if there is a mechanism in place to help them pay this, it's also interest-free. And then what they've done, something additional for these folks, for the COVID-19 people who can't pay their taxes, Carla has gotten with John Marshall Bank and they've reduced that fee by 50%. So it's only a 5% fee. The taxes will be paid, and they have between 10 and 12 months to pay the taxes back to John Marshall Bank. So that's a great resource. You know, it's unfortunate. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to utilize it this year, but that is something that I think that we're going to have to keep in the back of our mind. It's on the website to direct folks, you know, to that, to be able to meet the demands of the tax bill. So any other comments on that? Rick, you look like you're ready to say something.
I just wanted to say thank you very much, Mary, for all those details and that information.
Yeah, I mean, it's really useful.
It's very helpful.
Okay, any other questions for the county on any of the COVID-19 reviews or whatnot there? Okay, I believe that we've already addressed third party and citizen remarks, that we'll get those as soon as that's put out there. You know, by the close of, I guess, 4 p.m. you said the day before, and Rosa will send those out to us, and we'll do it just like we've done, you know, in other things. We'll have to, you know, make motions, read them, see whether we accept them or not. So any other business, any other questions, concerns from any board members or members of the staff? Everybody's all knowing and ready to jump into these things on the 16th. Excellent. Oh, we see a lot of smiling faces. All right, well, in lieu of that, if there's nothing else, then I'll move to adjourn the meeting, and we will re-adjourn on Tuesday, the 16th of June. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Lawson. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We'll get better at all this. We'll get Ken on here the next time. I don't know what happened to him. But otherwise, I mean, I think he's got a clean kitchen from what I was watching. But otherwise, I think we're doing good. So if you have any other questions and you want to reach out offline, certainly do so. But have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank
you
you.
too.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good day.
Thank you.